Welcome to Fine Arts with me, Katie Cordy. In this mini lecture, we are going to explore how perspective can create vivid landscapes. A landscape is a fancy word for background. A landscape is a stage where it might be the star or emphasis the actions of characters. A background can give the feeling of perspective, how close or how far away objects are. For instance, in this painting, Tarzan is as tall as the waterfall, but because of perspective, we are able to tell as viewers that Tarzan is much closer to us than said waterfall. Landscapes can have the feeling of perspective by manipulating the foreground, midground, and background. By understanding the three-dimensional properties of these spaces, you can make your own two-dimensional art leap off the page or suck the viewer in. The foreground is the space closest to the viewer, where objects are the largest as well as the most vibrant. The foreground comes before everything else. Typically, it is easy to see the details of objects placed close to the viewer. Lines are likely bold and thick if seen. Most of the time, but not always, the foreground is the center of attention. The midground, or middle ground, refers to the objects in the middle or center of the art. This does not mean that the midground is directly in the center of the page, but rather references to the objects that are sandwiched between the foreground and the background. The background is where the objects appear much smaller than they would in real life, because they are far away. Background objects have little detail and are often duller colored than their foreground or midground counterparts. A background might include the sky, the clouds, the moon, or the sun, or even a distant city. One way to quickly create the feeling of perspective is to overlay environments and objects, whether this be mountains or clouds, or a puppy in his beach ball. Knowing how to layer your drawing can help the viewer easily identify where everything is. Another way to create perspective is by shading or highlighting your art to mimic the lights and shadows that are around us naturally. Things in the background may be lighter or even more blue or purple than if they were close up, due to dust, smoke, humidity, rain, fog, smog, air pollution, etc. This is called atmospheric perspective and can be used in art to create more depth. However, the colors that create this hazy look can be bright. For instance, take a look at this photograph of this sunset. This concept art, yes, this is a painting, is from Star Wars: The Last Jedi. It uses atmospheric perspective to make the AT-ATs look far away. The AT-AT leg closest to us on the left is a dark, almost black gray, and the snow it stands on is a deep blue gray. Now look all the way to the right. The AT-AT farthest away to the right is a pale gray and has been painted no larger than the leftmost AT-AT's foot. The snow the right AT-AT walks on is as pale as itself, a light gray. By understanding how perspective works, artists can create something stunning, straight from their imaginations.